We got shirts on sale. Express your Evolution and starter Pokemon love by buying an Evolution family shirt and Which One starter shirt. Link will be in the description below. The Pokemon protagonists. Each and every one of them plays a big role in how we shape our journeys as Pokemon trainers in the main series games. You as the player have the ability to shape their destiny into however you want them to be. On top of that, each protagonist does have their own unique personalities and attributes that make them great if we have seen them before in the anime. We can take how they act in those scenarios and incorporate them to our own playthroughs. I appreciate a lot of the Pokemon protagonists that Pokemon has allowed me to choose over the last 2 decades of me playing Pokemon. Today, I wanted to give my opinions on all these protagonists within the main series Pokemon games. I will be covering Pokemon XD and Colosseum as well, so do not worry. They will be covered at the end of the video though, because I want the main series ones to be in the spotlight first. So yeah, you guys know what's going down. Here are my opinions on all the protagonists from all the main series Pokemon games and Colosseum and XD of course. This dude right here is the OG Pokemon protagonist. He is the first ever playable character in Pokemon Red and the Kanto God. Red is always talked about in high esteem everywhere, in parodies, future Pokemon games, and he is practically the poster child for the Pokemon games. Red is the true Kanto champion. You face him at the end of the game in the Johto series, and it's cool to see that throwback. Moving into Fire Red and Leaf Green's Red, that one is actually my favorite because of Pokemon Origins. Pokemon Origins is an anime short to depict the journey Red had in the anime style. We get to see his personality, his accomplishments, and his wicked cool Charizard X. We got to see him capture the legendaries in every battle he had with them. Some of the battles were a little cheese, but I mean, hey, I love Pokemon Origins. It was great. But yeah, Red is easily one of my favorite protagonists in the entire Pokemon franchise. Out of all the Johto protagonists and overall protagonists, I have to say Ethan is one of my favorites in Johto. The reasoning for this is because Pokemon Silver was my first Pokemon game I ever played. I remember rampaging through the game with my level 100 Typhlosion, defeating everything in one shot. Then I faced off against Red at the end of the game and still wound up beating him. My level 100 Typhlosion was unbeatable. Then I met my neighbor who put me in my place with his 5 level 100 Pokemon. But yeah, Ethan just had this approach, be the best he could be and take out the previous champion being Red. He conquered Johto, the League, and he even beat the legendary Red. He accomplished so much of this time as a protagonist, and I love that about this guy. Oh, he was also super cool in Pokemon Chronicles with this Typhlosion. It reminds me a lot of me using Typhlosion as a kid because I overused it a lot. I respect Chris a lot for being the first female protagonist introduced to the main series Pokemon games, and her sprite actually looked really cool in Pokemon Crystal as it had that blue aesthetic. The bandana was also pretty dope. Her design though, it's very plain Jane. Honestly, to make it straight to the point, it looks like she got dressed in the dark. Lyra at least has a decent costume. Starting off the Gen 3 protagonist, we have Brendan. Now, I don't dislike Brendan by any means, but he's just alright to me. I definitely like May a whole lot more. But again, he does have his positives. He has a pretty solid design, which seemingly confused almost everyone in the Pokemon community for years. Yeah, Brendan does not have white spiky hair. That is just a beanie. That's just so funny to me and really just changes how I feel about this character, designed for better or worse. I guess it makes sense for him to not have white hair, but I thought it was kind of a cool idea, honestly. I also have to mention, as I will with May, that I really like the ORAS redesigns of the protagonists. They really stayed true to the original designs while improving on them greatly. His contest outfit in those games was also really cool with that punk rock aesthetic. I will say, I wish we could have seen him in the Pokemon anime as a rival for either May or Ash. However, we really got only a few cameos from him at the beginning of a few Pokemon movies. At least we got to see a little bit of him from the ORAS animated short. Overall, not a bad protagonist at all. Now, May, on the other hand, is by far one of my favorites out of all the protagonists in the series, to this day. I think that might largely be due to my love for the Pokemon anime, but I think I would still feel that way regardless. May just has such a great design, and you can feel so much personality coming from her just by looking at her artwork. You can tell she's just a happy and spunky girl with a ton of confidence. Again, they really portrayed that perfectly in the Pokemon anime, which is why she's my second favorite female protagonist in the entire series. She's just always been so much fun to watch and play in the game, which is my explanation of why I'm fanboying over her so much. Oh, and since I mentioned it for Brendan, I should mention it for May as well. Her ORAS redesign was top tier. They took everything that was great about May and then amplified it to the max. I mean, just look at how adorable her contest design is. It's so good, it even made me think this scene with Mega Audino was actually cute. And I hate the hell out of that thing. But yeah, that just shows the power of May and solidly confirms her as a top tier protagonist in my book. Now, I know there isn't a lot on Leaf, but she is my favorite protagonist from the game standpoint. Serena is my favorite from the anime, May is my second from both the anime and the games, if that makes sense. Leaf though, I think she has the perfect aesthetic of how a Kanto trainer should look. I can't really describe it in much detail, but she just has that Kanto look to her. I don't know if she just looks similar to Alas or whatever it is, but she just looks Kanto. I just appreciate the accessories she has and just being such an overly all well-designed character. A little secret between you and me is that I always pick Leaf in a Kanto playthrough for Fire Red and Leaf Green. One more more thing I also really appreciate is Daddy Sakurai putting Leaf in Smash Brothers. She is so much better than Red in Ultimate. And the voice, yeah, that's way better as well. Good job, Squirtle Hat. This dude is the epitome of boring. He's boring as a professor's assistant, and his overall design is boring too. The hat bores me too. If we would have gotten more cameo appearances from this guy, maybe I would enjoy him a little bit more, but alas, nah, this guy sucks. Here we go. The best protagonist of the Sinnoh era of Pokemon games. I love Dawn's aesthetics much more than Lucas's. Her appearance and design are so much better. Plus, we got to see more of her personality in the Pokemon anime, and seeing a character in the anime helps you realize that what they could be like in the game as well. Me personally, I would do a lot of contests in Pokemon Diamond. I did this because I saw Dawn doing them in the anime. I would literally copy the character's journey in the anime and mimic that. I didn't use the same team as Dawn, but I tried to do everything she did. I used an Empoleon and Mamoswine though, so that was actually pretty cool. But yeah, I love Dawn's attitude, and I can feel that whenever I use her in the Sinnoh games. I can't wait to see what she's gonna look like in the Sinnoh remakes. Also, I take a shot every time I say anime. Now, I actually prefer Lyra over Chris. We got to see more personality from her, and the fact that she called Dawn Dane was super hilarious too. Her attitude was also super jolly on top of that. She was also adorable as a rival with having a small crush on Ethan, and it's funny because I actually see these two together. Lyra's overall aesthetic looked much better than Chris as well. She had a much better design. The only thing that really disappointed me with Lyra is that she had a Meryl. I felt she could have had a better choice using Chikorita. Then again, I guess it's just me being biased. I'm also aware that you could pick Chikorita as a starter, but I mean, you know, it would still be pretty cute. Man, there's really guys out here named Hilbert. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with this name, but all I can say is thank Arceus for the sequels giving us normal names. Anyways, 90-year-old man name aside, Hilbert really isn't that bad overall. In fact, the two protagonists play such an important role throughout the story, as well as the character development of their friends, and even the quote-unquote leader of Team Plasma. They make Cheren want to get stronger, as well as to try to understand himself better. They help Bianca figure out what she wants to do in life, and makes her realize that she doesn't have to be a strong trainer to be a strong person. Finally, they completely change N's perspective on the relationship humans and Pokemon have, and turn him to their side against Ghetsis and Team Plasma. This plays an important role in the sequel games, which is really quite the accomplishment that not many characters can say they're able to actually do. Man, and there are chicks named Hilda too. Actually, that's way more understandable and normal compared to Hilbert. Although I still have to say I prefer the sequel protagonist a bit more. Sorry, Hilda. So yeah, my opinion on Hilda here is pretty much the same as what I said about Hilbert. Despite the odd naming choice, Hilda is one of the coolest protagonists in the regard of being able to change the course of so many people's lives throughout the games of their actions. It's so great that we get to see those changes in the sequel games. Cheren becomes a gym leader, Bianca's Professor Juniper's assistant, and N is set out to stopping Team Plasma and Ghetsis' evil schemes. Nate. Much better than a man named Hilbert. Honestly, the Black and White 2 protagonist designs are so good. There's just something about them that just feels so cool. I can't really explain it. Maybe it's just because the art style compared to their prequel counterparts is just so different, it just makes them feel like a breath of fresh air. Whatever it is, I dig it. So regarding Nate, I just find him to be a really chill guy. While there may not be anything too special about him that Rosa also doesn't have, that does not make him by any means bad. Just like in Black and White, it's unfortunate that in these games they don't become a secondary rival to you like how it is in Generation 3. I know we have Hugh, who's an absolutely fantastic rival, but it still would be nice to have another one. I mean, we did have Cheren and Bianca in Black and White, so I don't see why that couldn't have been the case here. I mean, just look at how awesome they are in the animated trailer. There's just so much wasted potential here. However, I guess I can't be too upset. Now, as with most of these protagonists, even when I like the male a lot, I usually prefer the female protagonist, and Rosa is no exception. Rosa just has such an adorable and spunky design. She's definitely the most superior protagonist in the Unova region. See what I did there? That's a double entendre right there, considering that's her signature Pokemon. Anyways, moving on. There's a whole lot more I can say about Rosa that I didn't already say about Nate. She's just plain awesome, and it's a real shame that people who played as male didn't get her as a rival. The fact that neither of them made appearances in the Pokemon anime is also a bummer. As you all know, I'm not a huge fan of the Black and White anime, and I really feel Nate or Rosa's presence in the show would have made it a bit more tolerable for me. Also, one last thing to mention, look how adorable Rosa is in her Pokestar Studio outfits. Yeah, she's definitely one of the best hands down. Calum is super plain as a rival, but as a protagonist, having the ability to change his destiny to whatever you want is very appealing. The amount of character customizations you have for a male character is actually pretty cool. You can pretty much make Calum into whatever you want. The amount of colors and stuff you can add to his design is also pretty cool as well. The only problem I have with Calum is the inability to remove the hat. I like the hat, but I wish we could take it off, because personally, I think he looks better without it. But I guess it's not that bad because you can match it and make it look unbelievably cool with some other aspects of the costumes he's got. His overall costume, it's whatever, I guess. I want there to be a time where we see a male protagonist enter the anime and actually travel around with Ash. I think that would be pretty freaking cool. I think Calum could have been that one protagonist that could have done that. But alas, we won't get that, I don't think. Serena is my favorite from the Pokemon anime when it comes to protagonists joining Ash. I like her a lot there, and I also really like her in the games as well. I love the amount of character customizations you get with her too. You got anywhere from shades to shoes, bags, and everything galore. I can safely say I think that Serena has more customization than Calem does, and most of the accessories you get for Serena also make her look cooler. Serena made me like her a lot in the games because of the anime though. So Serena in the anime plays that big role, and of course I prefer the customization. That's pretty much why I always pick Serena over Calem in a Kalos playthrough. She's just better. Now, despite the expressionless face memes, I have to say that the Sun and Moon protagonists are still pretty great. And they fixed that just a little bit in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so it's not the end of the world. So for the male protagonist, I just learned while doing this video that his name was not Sun and is actually Elio. That's so dope. Not only does it sound cool, but being based on the Greek god of the sun is pretty freaking awesome as well. That only gives me such a higher opinion of him. Now, if I'm being honest, if I made this video a few years ago, I'd probably be dumping all over these two because I hadn't yet realized the appreciation that I actually had for this region and games as a whole. But they're actually pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of Kanto pandering as both characters move from Kanto to the Alola region as well as this bridge scene with Nebby being a nice nod to Ash protecting Pikachu from Spearow, but those aren't really in your face in my opinion and actually gives the character a story and a personality. It sets the story in motion for the rest of the games as it makes Lily trust you and sets the Z Crystal mechanic up with Tapu Koko. Now design wise, I have to go with Elio's Ultra Sun design over his original. While those joggers may be pretty dope, I have to say I'm a bigger fan of the swimming trunks and bucket hat. Moving on to the female protagonist, I also found out that her name is not Moon. Rather, it is Selene, which like Elio, is based on a Greek deity. And you guessed it, hers is based on the Greek goddess of the moon. Gosh, just the name origins for these two makes me have so much more love for them than I thought I ever would. Now, story-wise, obviously I feel the same way about Selene as I do Elio, as they are both one and the same. Yeah, there's a lot of Kanto pandering revolving around them, but it's never shoved down your throat, and it gives them a distinct personality and background, which you can't really say a lot of protagonists have. Now, I have to say that design-wise, I'm actually going the opposite route compared to Elio, and saying that I like her original design more than I do her Ultra design. And for pretty much the same reason, funny enough, it's the hat. Sure, the straw hat is cute, but that rooster neck looking beanie is just so iconic, and I don't think I've ever seen someone badmouth it. And they better not, because it's amazing. Now, the Let's Go protagonists are an interesting pair, but there's not a lot I can say about them individually, so I'll be talking about them in one go. Now, these games are supposed to be remixed to Yellow, however they take the place of Red and later on Leaf/Green and live in their house. But Red, Blue, and Leaf all still exist in this version of Kanto, so it's all just kind of confusing on what those three's roles are in this universe. Now, while I don't hate Chaser and Lane by any means, I just don't find them interesting at all. I will say I appreciate their existence as it allowed us to get a different experience as well as getting to have battles against the other two protagonists in OG Rival. Overall, they're not really terrible, but they definitely had disappointing points to them. They feel a lot more kid-like than previous protagonists, and with very limited customization options, it was just hard for me to feel like me in those games. However, the fact that I can wear this Umbreon outfit almost fully makes up for all their shortcomings. Alright, hopping into Pokemon Colosseum. I love Wes. He has the most interesting background out of all the protagonists. He betrayed his team Snag'em to help free the Shadow Pokemon across Ore. Oh yeah, plus he can also make buildings blow up. I want more games like Pokemon Colosseum. Please bring these games back. I don't really know much about Michael from XD, but I remember I did enjoy playing XD as a kid. I rented it from my neighborhood Blockbuster when that was still a thing. And yes, I did pick Umbreon as my starter. But yeah, Michael's design is pretty sick. I like the science and techie look he had behind him. The green gadget around his eye reminds me of a Dragon Ball scatter, so I actually like that a lot. We don't really know much about these Pokemon Sword and Shield characters as I'm recording this before the direct, but I love both the looks of these characters. They look like real people from England, and I can't wait to see them more. Well, those are my opinions on all the protagonists of all the Pokemon characters from the main series games. These protagonists have all been super cool over the past decades, and I can't wait to see what character I'll be playing as in Pokemon Sword and Shield. What are your favorite protagonists though? Let me know in the comments below, as well as what opinions of mine you guys would like to see next. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and Nintendo content like Shiny Hunting, Showdown Battles, Explorers of Sky, Zelda, Fire Emblem, Smash Brothers, Borderlands, you name it, I play it. Want to support me further in Game Club perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Pal491, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weezosted, and Sodden Grider did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Umbreon, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.